Sorry, weird kind of internet weirdness. Okay, so I was just about to make a really, really important point. So let me, oops, shit. Where did I go here, people? Oh, what is this doing? Back to where it is. No, stop it. Okay, hi. All right, so the important point I was about to make is there's no there. They do not have a cog there. They are unable to feel remorse or feel sad or feel anything other than their own stuff. And so the truth is, and this is what I was going to say, and I think it's really interesting that the internet cut out at that particular moment because I was about to expose them. The truth of the matter is that the company is dysfunctional from the top down, and they allowed this jerkette to be there for eons before, and they're going to allow that jerk or jerkette to be there for eons after. So it's a dysfunctional company, and the bully knows in their head that they will not be able to find another job that will allow them to do the bullshit that they're doing. That is why they are so territorial over that particular job, because if you come in there with your little light and you've got really healthy, good ideas, that's the last thing they want. They cannot function in a healthy environment. The second a bully walks into a healthy environment and it's a healthy family, what is the healthy family going to do? Healthy family is going to go, that's not okay. We're not going to put up with this. Now, let me give you an example. So Marina Williams was very big into animal psychology as well. So watching our closest cousins and their behaviors and kind of comparing it to our behaviors. So there was a tribe of baboons in the 1960s, and they were being followed by all of these scientists, and she has the information in her literature. So if you go and you look up Marina Williams, research projects, I'm sure that it will have that in there because she's very big on this. So what she talked about was there was a tribe of baboons, and there were bullies in the tribe. And the bullies would, fight for the food and hoard the food and, pick on the younger ones or pick on the weaker ones and things like that. Well, at some point, there were some people who decided to leave poisoned meat out and in an attempt to kill the baboons because there's assholes all over the planet. So anyway, it backfired in a way because what happened was that the bully baboons ran and grabbed all of the meat and ate it before any of the other baboons could get to it. That meant that all the bullies were dead. And the entire dynamic of the baboon tribe completely changed. Now, I am not advocating for poisoning bullies in the workplace, but it was interesting to see that once they were removed, once they were no longer there because they were dead, the entire tribe then became a very cooperative, very kind, very much into grooming, very much into, and I don't mean grooming like, we think of grooming like, oh my God, you're grooming me to be a victim. Grooming as in, the social interaction of grooming each other and working together as a team, as opposed to, oh my God, we've all got to kowtow to these, alpha male and females because they're the bully. So it was very, very interesting that once the bullies were removed, act of God, if you will, then the whole tribe got healthier. Hold on a second, I'm going to shut this door. Hang on. The whole tribe got healthier, and they changed their society from one of fear-based into community, let's help each other based, which I thought was really, really interesting. So, okay, hold on. Snakes in Suits. Yes, that is a wonderful book. That is a good book. Let's see, where am I? You worked at the company I'm describing. I'm so sorry. Yeah, the meek shall inherit the earth, whether they want it or not. Yes, it is a tempting thought. Please don't poison your bullies. That would be bad. So the thing of it was, though, is that it was interesting to me that the bullies knew on some level that they could not function in the quote unquote real world. They can't function with healthiness. They cannot function in a corporation that does not tolerate that kind of behavior. And although they were removed by an act of God, if you will, I think that in companies, it's not going to happen because it's a dysfunctional system. So if you've got a system that has been allowing a bully, they've allowed the bully before you got there, they're going to allow the bully after you go. So I was talking with Margaret. Margaret's one of the listeners here, and she too faced a bullying situation. And I said, in my brief little, when I was updating you guys on what was going on, I was like, well, the best advice is to leave. Or the other thing to do is they force us out. They force us into early retirement, or they force us to transfer to another division, or they force us to go to a different location or whatever. But the problem of it is that that's not an option for everybody. So what Marina Williams was talking about was having a side gig, which I think is an important thing to do anyway. So hold on a second. I want to talk more about that. Sorry, really thirsty. Okay. So having a side gig, like once you, and our biggest mistake, like I said, is we refuse to recognize that there is no there. There is no moral cog, no moral compass there at all. They're never going to feel regret. Those fuckers can sleep the night through and not regret a damn thing. Whereas people with a conscience will sit there and go, did I do the right thing? Is this okay? Did I hurt somebody? Do I need to make amends? What do I need to do? So, okay, back up. So we make the mistake of thinking that they're human. They're not. If they have been there and they are targeting you, our other mistake is, thank you, welcome back. Yeah, I finally fixed that. Oh, actually, John fixed it. But the mistake that we make is that we don't start addressing the bullying behavior right when it happens. That's the number one mistake we make. The number two mistake is that we stay too long. Number three mistake is we don't have a side gig going that can keep us sustained while we're either looking for another job or that we can go to if we need to bug out of there quickly. Okay. No, bullies never stop. They don't. They're like fucking sharks. They really are. Narcissists are bullies. I'm sorry. Bullies and narcissists are the same thing. If she won't say it, I will. They are bullies. They are narcissists. They are the same thing. They are one of the, you never see them in the same room together. Anyway, the point being is they are the same thing. And in her research, she said that she could not find enough statistical evidence to show that it was narcissistically personality disordered people that were the bullies at work. And why is that? How many bullies, how many narcissists do you know that are going to go sit for an interview and declare all of their crimes? Anybody? Bueller? Yeah, that's going to be none. That's going to be none. And statistically, you're not going to get narcissists to sit down and describe what they do when they're bullying people because they're going to deny it. So it doesn't surprise me that she could not find the statistical proof to show that it's personality disordered people that do this. And when I say personality disordered people, guys, I'm talking the malignant end of the spectrums, okay? So, yeah, it's so basically in her situation, it was a female bully. The bully tried to nicey nice at first, got all the information she needed, and then turned around and used it against her, basically. And so the biggest mistake we make is we stay, just like we stay in romantic relationships, just like we stay with families. Oh, no, they couldn't have meant that. No, that can't be. No, they didn't mean to sabotage me. No, that was a mistake. No, it's not on purpose. That can't be real. And the worst part of it is that if you go to help, to ask help from family and friends, again, assuming that everyone is sane, kind, truthful, honorable, etc., has a moral compass. No, they couldn't have meant that. No, don't go to HR. No, don't do anything. No, let's just see how this goes. Well, if you see how it goes, what you have now done is you have set a precedence. And the bully goes, oh, I can get away with this. Oh, okay. And then they are off and running. So the biggest mistake is waiting too long to go mention something to a supervisor. Now, the fear is, honestly, is that, okay, you're being a whanny, you're complaining too much, you're blah, 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 blah. But the thing you want to do is you want to start documenting the living crap out of it. And you let your supervisor know, I'm documenting. I'm keeping an eye on this, even if you're not. And here's the biggest mistake we make, both as romantic targets of abuse and as being bullied at work, is we don't document. We sit there and we convince ourselves, no, this is not happening. These are not the droids you're looking for. That's what we do. We sit there and we do these mind games on ourselves and we're like, no, that can't be real. No, that's not happening. No. Yes, it is what's happening. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. And the biggest predictor of somebody who's going to be bullied at work is somebody who has been abused before in their home life, somebody who has been abused in a romantic relationship, somebody who has been groomed by an abuser. Hello, that's us. And hello, NPD, that's them. No question about it. So, so the biggest thing is don't wait. If you feel you are being abused, here's the deal. I would rather be accused of being overly sensitive and have a side gig ready to go and talk to the supervisor and be documenting it than to sit there and just be a victim and wait for them to rip my throat out. Do you see where I'm going with that? So your biggest tool is going to be documentation. You need to document. And when the best situation you could be in is if you are in some sort of unionized job, because they are more likely to protect the workers kind of thing. The other thing of it is remember, HR is not there for you. They don't give a flying fuck about the workers. They don't. What they care about is the company being sued. Again, this is where documentation is going to play to your advantage. So if you can show, talked to supervisor X on this day about, and then list it out, and then you can show over and over and over again, hello, now we've got a hostile work environment. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Do you see where I'm going with that? So, and that's our biggest mistake, is that we are too nice and we don't go to the supervisor because we don't want to bug people, you know. I don't want to be a problem. I don't want to bug you. Your plate's full, because we're people pleasers. Y'all got to get over that. You've got to get over that. Bullies don't care. Bullies don't care. And the other thing you want to consider too is this corporate culture that you are in that has allowed this jerk or jerkette to be there is dysfunctional, and you cannot fix it. You can, unless campers come in and decide to poison all the fuckers, it ain't gonna happen. Do you see where I'm going with that, people? So you cannot fix a dysfunctional corporation. It's from the shit rolls downhill, people. So it starts at the top and it rolls down. If they have allowed a bully in the organization, they've allowed it before you got there, and they will allow it after you go. So really, your best bet is to document the living shit out of everything. Make sure you get supervisor names. Make sure you get witnesses. So-and-so was present at such and such time when such and such happened at 3 o'clock and blah, 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 blah. You document. You make sure you go to your supervisor and you start looking for another employer. You do. And here are some red flags to look out for. So the companies that have the most bullies going for them have a high turnover rate. If they're constantly hiring, you need to ask why. You really do. Why is there such a high turnover rate? Hold on just a second. So there's something going on. If there's a high turnover rate, that means that good people are probably leaving in droves. That's what happened to one of the companies I worked for. It's like they had great people, no big turnover rate, and then all of a sudden they got taken over by a corporation, and bada bing, bada boom, people started leaving in droves. And it turned into a not good situation. It turned into a very dysfunctional corporate culture. So you want to ask, what's the turnover rate? Why are these people always hiring? How come these jobs, these great once-in-a-lifetime opportunity jobs, are always coming up? So that says there's something wrong in the corporate culture. The other thing you want to look for, too, is a job that is not well-defined. Because what the bully will do is if your job is not well-defined, they will want to suddenly become your supervisor, and they will start telling you what to do. And they will demand that you go through them before you take a shit, before you pick up a phone, before you go to a meeting, before you meet with a client, whatever, because they're trying to get that power. Because remember, it's all about power and control. Even though they're not your supervisor, they're going to start trying to act like they are. The second they start doing that, you need to go to your own supervisor and go, The other thing, too, is that some people think, oh, well, if I confront my abuser, it will get better. Okay, it's a 50-50 shot. So here's the thing with any predator. They look for easy prey, to be sure. Now, confronting your abuser is going to be a risky proposition. Why? They've got seniority. They've been there for weeks, months, years, right? You're the new kid on the block. And especially if you've got an abuser who's going to play either the race card, the gender card, the sexuality card, You know, it's a dicey proposition. You can try standing up to them, just kind of like, I know this was a mistake on your part, but that's not okay with me. You could try doing something like that. They're probably going to up the ante. They probably are, because that's what bullies do. That's why I'm saying, really, in reality, your best option is to get the fuck out. It is a dysfunctional corporate culture. It's not safe. It's rolling from the top down. You're not going to find somebody with a moral compass that's going to go, yes, Nellie, they are being horrible bullies to you, and I shall come in and protect you. That's not going to happen, guys. I'm sorry. I wish it would. I really, truly wish it would, but it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't. So your best bet is to find a side gig to bring in money, as you're still working this job and as you're finding an exit plan. Now, what you're going to want to do when you exit, and this is hugely important, write this down. You're going to ask them, you're going to tell them you're leaving. I'm giving you my 2-week notice. I want a letter of recommendation. And here are my terms. I want a letter of recommendation, not, we'll accept phone calls or whatever. No, I want a letter of recommendation, because you want to know what's in that letter and you want to see it. You want to have it in your hot little hands. Okay. Number 2, you're going to ask for severance. You might as well ask. The worst they can say is no. The best they can do is give you severance pay. And number 3, you're going to want to put everything in documented writing and hand it into HR to let them know this is what's going on. I'm not putting up with this. And, if you guys don't take care of me, there's going to be problems. Now, lawsuits generally don't work. They don't, because you've got to prove, unless you've been doing the documentation. If you've been doing the documentation, then I say go for it. HR, again, is only interested in not getting sued. They don't give a fuck about client rights. They don't give a fuck about employee rights. They're more interested in the corporation, the company, not being sued. So you want to ask for a severance, and you want to ask for a letter of recommendation, period. You exit on your terms, not on the bullies. That's the best thing you can do. You need to make sure, as soon as you recognize it's a fucked up, dysfunctional situation, make sure you have a side gig going, something. Selling stuff on eBay, or, doing a side teaching job, or, that's what counselors can do, is that we have a master's degree, we can teach. So, we can do online classes. So, something like that, so that you have income coming in the eventuality that you quit this job and you don't have another one to go to yet. So, but that's what you've got to look for. Okay, hold on. Let me take some questions. Let's see. Are all bullies in the workplace narcissists or personality disorder people? Okay, now, James, they did not have the statistics on that. They refused to talk about it, and that bothers me. But I tend to believe her that there are not the statistics out there, because, like I said, there's no abuser is going to cop to being an abuser. Abusers are always the victim. Oh, and that was the other thing she said, is that you be very careful, because they will twist, if you stand up to them, they will twist it around, and you're now the bully and they're the poor little victim, which is why documentation is so very important, and be very careful and be very calculated if you do stand up to your abuser. Make sure that there are witnesses, make sure that there are people that are on your side, make sure you don't say anything impulsively or out of line kind of thing, because they love to play the victim. They love to play the victim, especially covert narcissists, man. They live to be the martyr. Oh, poor me. I was just trying to help, and look at how she or he treated me. Blah, blah, blah. Now they're the victim. So that's what you got to be careful of if you decide to stand up to them. Are they all personality disordered? Yes, because it was like she was listing everything off of the DSM fucking 5 that's a fucking narcissist. And I'm like, okay, if it walks like a duck and shits like a duck, I'm pretty sure it's a goddamn narcissistic duck. You know what I'm saying? So it just, anyway, so we got some work to do. All right. So yes, they are pretty much all personality disordered, because again, healthy, normal people do not fucking treat other people like that. So there that is. All right. Okay. Questions. Bullies deserve karma. Well, I am a big believer in karma. I am. And I do believe that it does come back to them. And I do believe that, there's a part of them that knows that they are fucked up and dysfunctional. There is, absolutely, or they wouldn't try so hard to smash the light out of anybody that could possibly shine a light on them. You know what I'm saying? That's karma in and of itself, you know, knowing that you're that fucked up and that dysfunctional and that screwed up in the head, you know, plus the fact all bullies end up pretty much alone, because by the time they reach their middle ages, people are done with their shit, man. You know, it's like you hit 45 or 50 and you're just kind of like, you know what? I'm not putting up with people's shit anymore. Have a nice day. Go fuck yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the bullies do end up eventually, and it takes time. And here's the thing about karma. Karma does not always happen when we see it. Karma sometimes happens behind closed doors. Karma happens when we're not around. Karma happens in the middle of the night. Karma is their lot in life. And so for all the rotten things that they've done, I know they're going to pay for it in this life or the next. And frankly, I don't want to be around to see it. They can do that on their own. So yeah, they do usually end up alone. They do end up with a huge amount of enemies. Even eventually the flying monkeys get tired of it at some point, unless you've got a really dysfunctional situation at work. Because if they run out of people to pick on, they'll start picking on the flying monkeys, and flying monkeys don't like that very much. So yeah, they do get theirs. It just, don't worry about it. Worry about you. Go be happy. The best revenge, guys, the best revenge. Living well. Get a great job. Go find a company. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So the other red flag. So the first red flag is high turnover rate. The other red flag is an ill-defined job. So in other words, when a manager says something like, oh, well, you can make this job your own, and you really don't have any, defined things that you're doing or that you need to, time schedule, or that you need to report to. Because believe me, if that job is not defined, the bully will define it for you. They will march in and they will say, well, you're not doing this, 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 and this. They'll run to their little manager and say that. And then you'll be like, wait a minute, I thought I could define this job. Well, no, you can't. The bully's defining it. So you don't want to go into a job that does not have a clear job description, because they'll start piling stuff on your plate that doesn't even belong to you, okay? Because they love to shirk. Basically, bullies are incompetent. And what happens with bullies at work is, unfortunately, for the most part, statistically, they get promoted up to get rid of them. Which is why you have all of these bullies at the top, all these CEOs that are personality disordered, and it rolls down. In my day, you used to be able to fire people because they were incompetent. But now everybody is like, oh, we don't want a lawsuit. We don't want to, fuck that shit. If they're incompetent, fucking fire them, period. That's what healthy companies do. Unhealthy companies do the whole, we don't want to get sued. We don't want to be accused of, because that's what bullies do. Bullies will then pull whatever card they need to pull in order to keep their job. And usually the lawsuit is number one. So, and that's why it's so hard on the true target of abuse, because the fucking bully pretends to be a victim. And then it gives real victims a bad name, if that makes any sort of sense. So, okay, so where was I? Oh, so you want a defined job. You don't want one that's loosey-goosey, open, open-ended, make it your own, blah, blah, blah. No, you need, this is your job description, this is your job duties, this is what we expect, this is da-da-da-da-da. I know, it sucks. I know. So yeah, so be careful of that, because generally the ones that are open-ended jobs, not all of them, but if you have that in conjunction with a high turnover rate, then that should be a red flag. Definitely. Okay, more questions. Hang on. Yeah. An ex that tells everybody what to do. Yeah, you betcha. Okay. Forced mediation. What a joke. Yeah, they will try to, have you sit down with your bully and work it out. And at that point, I think you need to be looking for another job. The corporation or that particular culture is FUBAR'd. For those of you who don't know what FUBAR'd means, it means fucked up beyond all repair. So yeah, so it's FUBAR'd. It's absolutely FUBAR'd. Get out. Save yourself. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your sanity. John a few years ago worked for a corporation that shall go unnamed. And it was fine until he got a manager that was a bully. And the person was horrible. And John would come home from work and he looked like a dog who'd been beaten too much. And he was up pacing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, not eating, not doing well, headaches, etc. And I finally looked at him and I said, sweetheart, no amount of money is worth this. Quit. It's time. Get out. And of course he found a job immediately. But the point being is if you are pacing the floors, if you have lost your appetite, if you are not sleeping, if you are worrying nonstop about what horror is going to greet you the next time you walk in through your office doors, it's time to quit. Now, people argue and say, oh, well, the bully won. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, in that, okay, they forced you out. But remember, they were there long before you came along. They are going to be there long after you are gone, because they know they cannot function in a healthy, normal work environment. That's why they fight for that job so badly. That's why they try to smush anybody who's got any innovation or life or competence, because they're completely incompetent. They can't hold a job. They can't hold a job in a real situation. They can hold it in a dysfunctional situation, but they wouldn't be able to work in a real, healthy environment. And they know it. They know it. That's part of their karma. So, yeah. All right. Question. It's the truth bullies never stop. Had it at work and now at home. Narcissist keeps coming back and I'm feeling emotionally sick with his presence, and it is manifesting physically, throwing up and trouble breathing. Oh, sweetheart. No, take care of yourself. Get out, get out, get out, get out, or make them get out. One of the two. Okay. Husband's boss even had a golden child. Oh, yeah, and a scapegoat child. So yeah, this is the thing. It's like, and this is what targets of abuse have got to get through our heads. When a bully targets us, whether it is a romantic bully or whether it is a workplace bully, we haven't done anything. All we did was walk in through the door and the bully recognized our light. Let me just say that again. The abuser recognized our light. They saw the light inside of us, and their first instinct is to smush it out any way they can. So we didn't have to do anything. It was nothing we did. It was nothing we said. It wasn't because we're, brilliant or whatever. It's because we are who we are. And who we are is an empath. And who we are is a child of light. And who we are is a child of the universe. And they don't like that because they're all about the dark. So yeah, you didn't have to do anything. And remember, they have no emotional cog. Okay, hang on. All of the supervisors at my company expect us to follow their directions instead of following procedure dictated by the handbook, then throw us under the bus for it. Look for a new job. That says dysfunctional corporate culture. I got fired by my last boss, who was a huge bully. Best thing ever. Now I'm happy at my new job. Good. I mean, not good that you got fired, but good that you found a place that you liked. Do they know exactly what they are doing? Fuck yeah, they do. Fuck yeah, they do. Okay, guys, here we go. Kris Soapbox 101. So here's the deal, guys. Abusers know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they are doing. They know exactly what they are doing. They do it on purpose. They abso-fucking-lutely do. And they have the same playbook. No matter where in the world they are, they say the exact same things, no matter where in the world that they are. It is the same everywhere throughout the world. Every abuser says the exact same things. They know exactly what they're doing. You goddamn straight they do. Don't you ever kid yourself that, oh, they just don't know what they're doing. Bullshit. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Okay. My ex was a bully. It was fight or flight. Yeah. And that's the thing, guys. So if we come from a background of abuse and we think we've got everything nailed down, and then we walk into one of these dysfunctional, I like that, dysfunctional corporate cultures, we get triggered all over again, okay? And now we're dealing with CPTSD, PTSD, all of the triggers, and this person is now bullying us. Not healthy, not healthy. Get out, save yourself. Okay, and no, they will not admit what they did. Okay, hang on. Yes, bullies find our weakness and they go for the jugular. So they know we're people pleasers. They know we don't want to be a problem, and that's why they do what they do. And they're very subtle about it sometimes. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're direct, head-on, very aggressive. Usually it's a lot of microaggression, like subtle put downs and subtle, things like that. Other times it'll be direct, going to the boss and just complaining about you all the time. So that by the time you finally stand up and go to the boss and say, this is a problem, you're going to look like the crazy one, which is why I'm saying, as soon as you recognize microaggressions, don't deny it. Guys, stop being Cleopatra, queen of the fucking Nile. Denial, because we tend to do that. We tend to be like, oh, no, that's not happening. But then by the time we finally go, oh, yeah, that is, it's too late. So as soon as you see a microaggression, go for it. Go talk to the boss. Let them be aware. Start documenting and let them know you are documenting. That is the best thing to do. Abso-fucking-lutely. You betcha. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. This is slightly off topic, but I think I want to address this. My mom passed a week after I left my narc and learned the truth about him. Mask dropped. I was in huge shock. He didn't even know my name, but every month on her death anniversary, he puts the picture up of the ocean where my mom's ashes are on his Facebook and also sends me pictures like this. Would you be able to explain why he is doing it? To get under your skin, sweetie, so you block him. You block them. So narcissists, whether they are abusers, if they're your boss and they're doing this shit, you can get them for harassment. If this is just a narcissist friend or a narcissist boyfriend or whatever, not so much, but you can definitely block them. Block them. You don't have to see that stuff. So just block them. Block them on every social media. If you've got somebody who's posting stuff that's upsetting you or triggering you or whatever, why are you friends with them? Stop it. Block them. Get rid of them. Okay. And that's the other thing. So you want to be very careful, especially if you're dealing with a bully at work, who you have as friends on Facebook, because things you post on Facebook are used against you. Okay, and that goes for any time you're in with a narcissist. So narcissists do that. So they like to get a hold of passwords if you're in a romantic relationship or in a toxic parental unit relationship. They love to get a hold of passwords, or they love to be your friends on Facebook or your friends on Twitter. And then they'll sit there and they'll lurk, looking to see what you're doing, never posting, never, talking about it. But then the second they find something they can use against you, they will. So you want to be very careful about social media, and you want to be very careful about social media when out in the workplace as well. So for example, I don't allow everybody onto my personal Facebook. I don't, because believe it or not, I'm a private person when I'm not, sitting here in front of you guys. So I have my public stuff that I have for everybody that they can see, but then I have my family and my friends that I, talk back and forth with and be incredibly inappropriate with, and that's really nobody's business except mine and my friends. So you want to be very careful about Facebook. You want to have your privacy settings set on high. You want to make sure that you're not taking every single friend request that comes along. You want to vet them before you allow them into your inner sanctum, basically, because believe me, bullies at work will use that against you. Okay, Kris, I was like, wait, that didn't happen. It happened this way. No, James, you need your head examined. And even if you show them texts that you saved, they will turn it against you and tell you that you're doing it the wrong way. Yeah, friends and family will do that because it's hard for people who have not been abused to wrap their heads around abuse. It really is. They can't conceive that somebody could be so devoid of a moral compass. They really can't. And evil. Yeah, they are evil. Okay. Minimizing and denying. Okay, so getting back to that. So we tend to minimize and we tend to deny, and that's never a good thing. It is what it is. And here's the biggest thing I want you guys to take away from this. Your emotions, your feelings are valid. And any fucker that tells you that they're not can go fuck themselves sideways with an unlubricated baseball bat. Seriously, because that is what abusers do, is they deny and they minimize our emotions. Oh, you're too sensitive. You're being a whanny. You're being a complainer. You're being a whiner. You're being this. You guns. Hello, you're dealing with an abuser. So your feelings, your perception is 100% fucking real. Don't forget that. If you are feeling it, it is valid because it is real for you. May not be real for your abuser, but it is real for you. And so if you have a supervisor that tries to pull that whole "you're being too sensitive," run. Do not walk to the nearest exit. You need to get the fuck out of there. It's a dysfunctional situation. Okay. I've had the experience as a customer in my local supermarket of being bullied by an employee and was blamed by the manager when I complained. It does run downhill. Yeah, yeah. I've had that experience too, walking into some place and, pointing out this isn't okay, and then the manager just being completely inappropriate. And at that point, I jacked it up to the person above them. I went to corporate. I don't put up with that shit anymore. I don't. It's like, I'm sorry. I dealt with abuse as a kid, had to put up with it from my dad, had to put up with some abuse when I was in my 20s. By the time I hit my 30s, I was like, you know what, fuckers, we're done. Peace out. So I don't put up with it. I don't put up with it from anybody. If somebody is behaving like a butt monkey, you bet I'm going to go to corporate and I'm going to complain. And even if nothing comes of it, at least I will have said something so that if they harass somebody in the future, there's a fucking paper trail. You dig what I'm saying? Whew. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm trying to read this. Physically sick. Yes. So we get physically sick when we're dealing with abuse, whether that abuse is coming from a bully at work. Like, I was telling you, John was like throwing up in the middle of the night. He was pacing back and forth. It was not good. He was not eating. It was not a healthy thing. Or, whether it's coming from a romantic partner, because they're obviously usually keeping us up at night because sleep deprivation, screaming at us, fighting, etc. And we do chronic stress, whether it's coming from a bully at work or romantic partner or a toxic family, causes us to have physical reactions to that. When I was a kid, if you read, shameless plug, if you read my book, What's Wrong with Your Dad, I talk about being the child of an alcoholic who was also an opiate addict who also had a personality disorder or two. Yay. Fun growing up. But before school, and I was being bullied because he forced me to go to this tiny, tiny little school in Richvale, and I was being bullied there, and I was the outsider, and he was abusing me at home. So it was like I was throwing up before school for 2 years. It was miserable. So yeah, we do. We throw up. We get anxious. We have headaches. We get armoring. So when we start tensing up, so this usually happens in adults, but I've seen it in kids that have been abused as well. They start tensing up. Their muscles start getting tight because they're trying to protect themselves. So yeah, we do get a list of physical ailments. And if you're suffering that because you're being bullied at work, that's your body saying, get the fuck out. Go to a healthy, safe work environment. Even if it means doing a side job or something that you wouldn't normally focus on, fine. Do something to bring money in. Drive Lyft, drive Uber, drive a car, do something so that you've got an income coming in while you are looking for another job. So yeah. Okay. Hi, Margaret. Yes, I am on again. That was kind of scary. It just kind of went bloop, gone. Okay. Hello, Beth. Okay. Yes. Dr. Smith from Lost in Space. Yes. Denial. Absolutely. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, and they gaslight too, and they will lie. So here's the thing: don't be surprised when bullies at work make shit up, just like a romantic partner who is abusive will do that. They will gaslight, they will lie, they will get flying monkeys, they will get the rest of the workforce to be there on their side. They will do the smear campaign. At that point, guys, it's not worth it. It's not. And like I said, I know that there's that part that says, but they win. Well, okay, they won the battle, but they're losing the war. Because you're going to go on and you're going to find a better job that's better suited to you, that's a healthier work environment, and you're going to be successful. And they're never going to be because they spend most of their time trying to destroy other people. And we all know how well that turns out. Not well. So, yeah. Okay. I was accused and fired, supposedly being on the phone constantly. When it was a bully I used to work with who was on the phone all the time. Oh, that was the other thing she talked about, which I was like, thank you. So they project. So they'll run to the boss and tell the boss that you're taking 2-hour lunches, being on the phone, being lazy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, when in fact, it's the bully that's doing all of this. And it's projection. And that's why when she said we couldn't find any statistics on who the bullies are, I just wanted to stand up and go, bullshit. It's all a bunch of fucking NPDs. Guarantee it. But again, you can't get a narcissistic abuser to sit down and say, yes, in fact, I am a narcissistic abuser. They're never going to do that. They're never going to do that. Okay, so your options are to retire or to quit on your terms. That's really it. You're not going to change the corporate culture. I cannot say that enough. You are not, unless you suddenly come into a lottery winning and you can buy out the CEO and do a hostile takeover, you're not going to change the corporate culture. It is not going to change. That bully was there before you. That bully is going to be there after you. That bully also cannot function in a healthy, normal environment, but you can. So that's why I'm saying get out, get into a better job, do an early retirement if you have to, get a side gig going, something that you can make money on while you're looking for another job, or even while you're still in this job. Extra money never hurts. It really doesn't. I'm currently making moves to leave. The boss would say I'm just blunt. I may be an a-hole, but I'm upfront about it. F that. Yeah, there's no excuse for abuse, ever. Ever, 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 ever. Just so we're clear on that. One door closes, another one will open. Yes. Okay. Oh, damn, James, that's not a friend. So one of my friends told me that people who need to get a grip with this narcissistic stuff, and told me people who go back to abusers are filled with stupidity. I told him he was an asshole, and if I was a doctor and said that too, his patients would have nobody else left to treat. So, here's the thing, guys. I didn't share all of the classes I went to. One of the classes I went to had brain scans, and it was a trauma class of a quote-unquote normal brain that had not been abused ever. Like, relatively healthy, normal childhood, relatively healthy, normal teenage years, relatively healthy, normal young adult years. And the brain was lit up in all the right places, okay? It then showed the brain of somebody who had complex trauma over and over and over and over again, like childhood trauma, teenage trauma, young adult trauma. And there were areas of the brain that were not lit up the way they should be, but the primal part of the brain was definitely lit up. So it takes an abused brain, an addict brain as well, because usually addicts have been abused. It takes an addict's brain, it takes an abused brain, anywhere between 1 and 200 times of hearing new information for it to finally soak the fuck in. In a normal brain, it takes anywhere between 1 and 6. 1 and 6 for a normal brain. That's with no trauma, no addiction, none of that stuff going on. For somebody who has been abused, for somebody who is addicted to the highs of the relationship, not the abuse, but to the highs of the relationship, the intermittent positive rewards, it takes between 1 and 200 times. That's why statistically, it takes between 1 and 7 times of attempting to leave an abuser that the abused is finally able to break free. It's not stupidity, it's addiction. It's addiction. We are as addicted to the intermittent positive rewards, which is why we stay in jobs as well. Oh, well, this week it wasn't too bad. Well, I did get kudos for doing this job. Everything is okay now. Boom, back to the abuse. Intermittent positive rewards, man. That's what hooks us. As addictive as fucking heroin. We're not stupid, we're addicts. So really, it just takes us a little longer to get that information to soak in through our brain. And there's nothing wrong with that. I wish it would speed up a little bit. That would be nice for us. But it is what it is. And that's why I repeat what I repeat, because it takes between 1 and 200 times of hearing new information for it to really soak in, especially if you're dealing with an abused, addicted brain. So anybody who tells you that abuse victims are stupid, please break your foot off in their ass for me, because they're the ones that are being stupid. They don't understand. They don't understand the physiology. They don't understand what's going on in the brain. They don't understand which areas of the brain are being lit up and which ones are being deprived. They don't understand the addictive quality of it, and they probably are abusers themselves. So there it is. Okay. In 1992, I was working at a large health organization. My manager threw a stack of papers at me and my supervisor. She was angry with the supervisor. I went to HR and was told they couldn't do anything, told me I would need to tell manager's manager or that person's manager. I pointed out I would be fired if I did that and was told, so sorry, nothing can be done. I left that job. But that was difficult to recover. So leaving a job when there is abuse involved is equivalent to leaving a romantic partner relationship when there is abuse involved. It's the same dynamic. We get that sense of betrayal. We loved this job. We loved what we did. We loved our clients. We loved who we worked for. We loved some of our coworkers, but yet somehow the corporation was so dysfunctional that we had to leave, and it's a betrayal. And it probably mirrors stuff that was going on in the family of origin. So if you find yourself in either abusive relationship after abusive relationship after abusive relationship, or in abusive job after abusive job after abusive job, there is something going on that has to do with family of origin, that has to do with the original wound, and we got to fix that so that you stop believing that you deserve to be abused, because you don't. You don't. You don't deserve to be abused by anybody, and I don't care who the fuck they think they are. So you got to work on that. So there's something going on. So we got to work on that original, wound to figure out why the heck this is going on. Okay. Thank you, Helen. I appreciate that. Why won't HR do anything? HR won't do anything because they're all about not getting sued. So unless there's the threat of a lawsuit that will be very public, they could give two flying rats' asses. They're not there to protect the worker, guys. I cannot stress that enough. HR is not there to protect the worker. They are there to protect the corporation or the entity from being sued. That's really their job. And proving a hostile work environment means that you will have had to have been documenting pretty much from day one, because it's really hard to prove that, especially if you don't have witnesses that are willing to come forward. Okay, I think I have CPTSD. I know I have PTSD, but I'm having nightmares still of my ex-boyfriend and sometimes my ex-husband. Yes. So, all right, EMDR for PTSD, CPTSD. Those are the best ones that you can do. If you're having nightmares, that is a sign and a symptom of PTSD, CPTSD. So definitely get with a good therapist that does EMDR and get yourself reprocessing and reprogramming your brain so that it's not always activated in the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. So that's really, and it happens if you've had an abusive boss at work as well. I had no idea what to do. I think people should be educated about this stuff in high school. Yes, they should. And they don't, and we don't. And it's amazing to me because I think the highest incidence of bullying on the job happens in the UK, in the United States, not the UK, the United States, Australia, and Canada, of all places. So those are the three top countries for bullying in the workplace. The lowest bullying is in Sweden and in Japan, which is weird because you would think Japan would have a lot of, high, harassment and things like that. It really doesn't. So in Sweden, it's very much a cooperative society. I'm not sure what's going on in Japan because I don't know that much about Japan, but it'd be interesting to take a look as to why that's not happening there. And I suspect it has to do with honor. It has to do with you simply do not behave that way. So be interesting to look at that. Okay. Yeah, don't post anything on Facebook you don't want an employer to see. The first things most employers do nowadays is Google, and they look to see what pictures come up, and they look to see what's going on. This also went back to the lecture that I went to on cyber stalking, because oftentimes what romantic partner bullies, abusers, will do is they will force or coerce the partner into doing sex acts on tape, and then they will do the revenge porn. That is completely and 100% illegal, and you can sue the living shit out of them for it. But the problem of it is once those pictures are out on the web, it takes a lot of money to get them off. So, and that's what bullies are counting on. That's what abusers are counting on, because they want to keep you financially strapped. They want to keep you unemployable so that you are not successful. That's really their whole goal. So be very careful when anybody wants you to do anything that you wouldn't otherwise do and wants to put it on camera. So there that is. And bullies at work will grab onto that and absolutely try to use it against you. Okay. But in toxic work environment, you can't trust computer privacy or phone privacy. Yeah. See, and that's the other thing. So when you are in a toxic work environment, no, you cannot trust that the phone is not somehow being listened to. And you also can't trust emails or anything else like that because they belong to the corporation. So if you're going to do any sort of complaining or anything like that, what you do is you keep what I like is a written thing, written documentation, mainly for two reasons. Nobody can read my handwriting. And two, I can then take it home and do whatever I need to do. I mean, obviously now I'm in private practice. I don't need to do that, but you can do that. It's like you keep a notepad, do shorthand that nobody can read, and then you take it home and document and write it up so that people can read it when they need to. So yeah, you can't trust the computers at work. No, absolutely. Okay. That manager was let go a year later for racist remarks to a white woman about her biracial children. Oh, fuck. Well, at least he got let go. That's good. Yeah, see? Karma. Hello. All right. Had to change my number 4 times and change email. Had to block so many Facebook accounts and fake accounts. Yeah, it's crazy. So when you're dealing with a real cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, so they'll develop fake accounts. They'll try to troll. They'll try to, post nasty things. They'll try to say nasty things. They'll try to do nasty things. And really what you do is you just block and report, block and report, block and report, block and report, and you just keep doing that. That's what you do. And you don't take it personally and you just move on. Like I said, the best revenge is living well. Live well. Live well. Get a good job. Get out of that toxic work environment. Get out of that abusive relationship. Stay the fuck away from your abusive parents. You don't owe them anything. You don't. They gave you DNA. That's about it. Move on. Go be happy. That's really what it's all about, is living well. Live well. Help other people. Live well. That's the best thing you can do. Okay. My boss was a narc and stalked me for ages when he got me pulled into a relationship as he knew everything I liked. Love bombing was too easy for him. He studied me for a year. I got him fired for stalking and harassing me. I'm scared for the revenge now as I also exposed him to my family and friends. Yeah, so you just got to warn your family and friends. That's the other thing I was going to say. Hold on. So in the lecture on cyber harassment, she said that 7% of the revenge porn was posted, statistically, 7% is posted by actual family members. And she was shocked. She was just like, what? So after the lecture, I walked up to her and I said, do you want to know why? Do you want to know who those people are? And she was like, yeah, I don't get it. And I was like, they're flying monkeys. These are the moms, the dads, the sisters, the siblings, the cousins who have sided with the abuser, who are enabling the abuser to abuse, and by doing abuse by proxy. Her mind kind of went, yeah. So even the researchers don't get it, guys. This is why I'm saying we need to get a hold of Gerard Lawson, who is the president of the ACA, and let him know that that is unacceptable. Researchers, counselors, therapists, they should know this shit. They should know what I know. They should know what Richie Grannon knows. They should know what Kim Said knows. They should know what Araby knows. They should know what Melanie Tanyan Evans knows. They should know what all of us in the field know. They should know what people down in the trenches fucking know. It's mind-blowing that researchers don't go talk to people in the trenches and say, why do we have 7% of the revenge porn being done by actual family members? It's the flying monkeys. It's the flying monkeys. It's the parents and the siblings that have sided with the abuser that are doing abuse by proxy, that are punishing the child or the sibling for getting out of the abusive relationship or for leaving the toxic family. Yeah. Okay. All right. Made a complaint to customer service at Rubbermaid, got a bull of rude, then called corp, got even bigger bowl of rude. Guess who buys no more Rubbermaid? Yeah, and vote with your money, guys. If people are rude and you're not getting any kind of like, I'm sorry or anything like that, you just don't buy their stuff. And then you tell as many people as you possibly can. Okay. Oh, What's Wrong with Your Dad? Loved the book, read it cover to cover. Thank you. Okay, Bedwetting 2. I'm not sure what that question is in regards to. Bedwetting happens when there is usually sexual abuse going on or the child is regressing in some way, shape, or form. There's usually some physical form of abuse happening. So yeah, it's a regression. Bedwetting is a regression. So that means that it's triggering up a younger version of you. So if there is stuff like that going on, for the love of God, get into a counselor, work on the PTSD, work on the CPTSD. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, thank you, Autumn. I don't have makeup on. I've got mascara and that's about it. Thank you. All right. As a musician, I was in a band with a singer that used me as a scapegoat. Ooh, I'm sorry. Hey, Cheryl. Yeah, I know everybody hates looking for work. That is the worst part of it. It's kind of like dating. It's like going out and dating these new corporations and seeing if you like them. I know, but you know what? It's better to go through the figuring it out process and find a new job that is healthy than it is to stay in a horrible job where you're suffering. Life is too short and it's too beautiful, to be perfectly honest. There's so much beauty out there. Why stay with ugly? Seriously. It's like find some place that's really good for you. I don't even remember when the muscles in my necks were relaxed, armoring pretty badly. Okay, so when we leave an abusive relationship, self-care is going to be super, super important. So with John, I make him go get a massage once a month, period. It's like, dude, you're getting a massage. That's all there is to it. We'll find the money. It's fine. Go do it. Because self-care is hugely important. And I take care of myself as well. I go and get a massage about twice a month. So, it's what we do. It's what we do to take care of ourselves. And it's important because we have armored. And you don't want to do that. You want to relax. You want to go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? Go see a chiropractor. Go work on yourself. Go take care of you. That's the important thing. Okay. I experienced armoring when I was with my ex-husband. My back, shoulders, and necks were always super tight. After I left, it took only a few weeks for everything to loosen up. Yeah, it's crazy how that happens. You leave the abuser, and then suddenly it's like, I can move. Wow. Okay. Bully boss is people in the department have an air of fear. Yes. And when the boss isn't there, the whole group seems light as a feather. Absolutely. And if that's what's going on, get out, get out, get out, get out, save yourself. Finished your book, You Can Lead a Horse to Water. Haven't laughed and cried so much in a while. Thanks for all that you do to make change where you can. You're welcome, Megan. You're very welcome. I'm glad you like the book. Shameless plug again. You Can Lead a Horse to Water, but Can't Make Him Cha-Cha is available on print on demand on Amazon, as is What's Wrong with Your Dad? The audio versions should be coming out this week. I know I've been promising that for months, but there's some things that I have to do on the Audibles to get that up and going, and then it should be available hopefully by this weekend. This will be available by this weekend as well. I'm going to be selling that on Amazon. Okay, let's see. All right. Yeah, if you see a company doing, or a band doing the golden child, the scapegoat, the ignored middle child, the comedian, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that says whoever is in charge has got dysfunctional family issues. So whenever you get a group of people together, whether it is a psychodynamic group or whether it is a company or a corporation, it will mimic the functionality or the dysfunctionality of the top's parents. Yay. So if they had a fucked up dysfunctional family and they had scapegoats and golden children and comics and this, that, and the other thing, they're going to try to mold the corporation culture in their image. That's basically what's happening. If you're in a group, you're doing group dynamics, you're in a support group or you're in any sort of group, you will find that suddenly people fall into these roles. And if you've got a really good group leader, they'll be able to call it out and be like, we're not going to do that. If you've got a bad group leader, they're going to let the group dynamic continue in a dysfunctional way. So that's another reason why you got to be careful of support groups. You got to make sure they've got a good leader so that that does not happen. Okay. All right. Abusers make you explain yourself over and over again, and especially in a bullying dynamic in a corporation where the bully has decided that they are your boss, when in fact they are not. So they make you report to them all the time. Well, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Da, 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 da. You know, they're so concerned with what you're doing, they're not doing their job. And of course, you're going to get pinned for them not doing their job. So yeah. Okay. It took me about 4 times in 2 years to finally get away. Yeah, it's true, guys. You got to be gentle with yourselves. It does take on average, that means half do it more than 7 times and half do it less than 7 times. But on average, it takes 7 times of leaving to finally get out. And with a bully situation at work, it often takes a long time for us to finally go, this is not functional. This is not normal. This isn't okay. I don't like this. I don't like the way I feel. It takes a long time for us to finally get to that point where we're like, no, 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 this is not okay. But by that point, it's generally too late because the bully has already done all their damage. And it's a dysfunctional situation. Get out, save yourself. That's the best you can do. Okay. Thanks for repeating everything. Yay. Okay. All right, hang on, I'm trying to answer questions. I don't know how to say this. If your job was working with possibly violent, mentally ill as no. Okay, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Could you repeat the question? I don't know how to say this. If your job was working with possibly violent, mentally ill, and you tell your boss you don't want to be yelled at by clients, is that asking too much? Oh, okay. So you're working with violent, mentally ill. So it kind of comes with the territory, and you're going to get yelled at. It's just going to happen. If you're working with severely mentally, so when I worked in the homeless shelter, I worked with severely mentally ill people. They were schizophrenic, they were unmedicated, bipolar, fully delusional, floridly delusional. And yeah, you would get cases where they would just go off and scream at you and yell at you. And you kind of realized after a while that they didn't really see you, that you kind of represented whatever they were angry at that day. And you just don't take it personally. If it's a job that you're trained for, that's one thing. If they're throwing you into a situation where you're working with severely mentally ill people that have got violent tendencies and they're unmedicated and you have not been trained to be able to, I guess, compartmentalize, then that's not okay. So you may not be right for that job, or it just may be a poorly trained job. And if that's the case, why are they throwing people into a situation where they're not being really well trained to deal with this type of situation? Because, you know, if you're not trained in that, if you don't understand the physiology of what's going on with these people and understand that it's not personal, it is very difficult to not take it personally. And asking them to not yell at you is probably not a realistic thing, because oftentimes, I hate to say it, when they're unmedicated, if the voices are screaming at them, they're going to be screaming at you. It's just the nature of the business. It's the nature of the disease. So, okay. Okay, so narcissists will play the clueless victim. They'll say, when they're stalking and harassing, they'll say things like, oh, I'm just being clingy. Oh, I can't live without you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They know exactly what they're doing, sweetie. They're intending to play on your guilt. They're intending to play on your people-pleasing part. They're wanting you to feel responsible for their well-being. Stalking is stalking. It's not clingy. It's stalking. So yeah, don't buy it. Don't buy it. And it's never too late to heal, guys. This is one of the questions that I got. Somebody was like, you know, I'm in my mid-50s. I've left the abuser. Is it too late for me? No, it's not. You know why? The brain is amazing. It's very plastic and it can learn new behavior. So it is never too late. It is never too late. I mean, here's the biggest example I can give. My mom, okay? If you guys read the book, you know about my mom. So she was in this amazingly abusive relationship with my dad for 45 fucking years. He dies, and she starts changing, and she starts growing, and she starts reading, and she starts acknowledging, and so even at that late date in time, she was able to change and grow and acknowledge and stop denying and, all of this good stuff. Now, was she 100% perfect? Hell no. There was still some issues there, but she did a lot of changing and a lot of growing. It's never too late. It's never too late. It is never too late. As long as there is breath in your fucking body and you're not a fucking abuser, it is never too late. It is never too late. So read everything you can, read. Okay. I'm going to list my books out again because I really love them. Read The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. Break that people pleaser bullshit. You've got to stop that. That's what abusers look for. Read the Self-Esteem workbook. Work it. Do the mirror work. Hello, good to see you. Have a wonderful day. I give you permission to like yourself. That type of thing. I know it's very Stuart Smalley, but oh well. Read CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving. It's never too late. Work on this stuff. Work on the inner child. Get the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor. Work on the inner child. Work on that wound. Make sure that you heal that wound. If for nothing else, you've healed that wound and you're not going to deal with abusers ever again. Write a list of deal breakers. What will you not put up with, including in work situations? What will you not put up with? I think a high turnover rate should be 1. A loosey-goosey job description should be 2. A bully should be 3. Yeah, not going to put up with it. Sorry. Have a nice day. Go fuck yourself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, okay. So that's what I want you guys to do. So it's never too late. You're never too old. It's never too late. My mom died at age 89. Okay. And she had done a lot of amend making, which I was very proud of her for. And she understood a lot of what the dynamics were in the family, which I was also very proud of her for. Now, there were some parts that, she still was kind of like a little loosey-goosey on it. But for the most part, she really did work on herself. And it's never too late. And I respect her for that. So it's never too late. Do it. Do it. Do it. All right. Okay. Oh, I guess there is alcoholism in Japan. See, I don't know enough about that culture to really tell you. I was just going by the statistics that one of the presenters gave. Okay, let's see. All right. I am the mother-in-law, and it is the daughter-in-law that is abusive. I realize there is nothing I can do because my relationship with my son is too important to me. She says horrible things to me and then totally denies it. Triggers me from the gaslighting of my mother. Ooh, boy, that's a tricky one. Not sure what to tell you. If your relationship with your son is good, you want to be careful about bad-mouthing the wife because that can be very threatening to him, and she'll latch on to that and use that as an excuse to not have contact. I would definitely maintain contact with your son and go out to lunch, go out to dinner, go to movies, maintain a good relationship with him. If you can do it without her, so much the better. If you can't, okay. But, make sure that he knows he's loved and he's wanted in your life. So yeah, because abusers like to come in and divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. So, okay. All right. What are your thoughts on female abusers and the whole insisting on pregnancy thing? Mine freaked when she didn't get pregnant, but withdrew sex, which was weird, kind of a Rosemary's pregnancy situation. Female abusers do that all the time. So we're kind of drifting off topic here, but female abusers do the getting pregnant on purpose thing. Abso-freaking-lutely. And male abusers do it as well. They force the female to get pregnant. So they'll do things like break the condoms, not wear the condoms, pretend to be wearing condoms, not being wearing condoms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, slip them off in the middle of sex, blah, blah, blah. Female abusers will insist on getting pregnant, and they'll do in vitro, they'll do whatever it takes to get pregnant so that they can latch onto you for the next 18 years. Yes, that is a thing. That is absolutely a thing, and it's documented over and over and over again in all of the cases I have seen, in all of the cases my friends have seen. This is why I'm sitting here going, okay, researchers, come talk to us in the trenches. We've seen this shit. We've seen it over and over and over again. It's not just bullshit imagination here. This is what goes on. This is what goes on in abusive relationships. Yes, female abusers absolutely will try to pull the pregnancy card. And I have seen female abusers get pregnant by somebody else and claim that it is the target of abuse's child, which is why DNA tests are always a good thing. So yeah, as soon as DNA was mentioned, suddenly it all came out in the wash that it wasn't really this guy's baby. But yeah, they'll do that. Absolutely. My ex is still trolling for me. I blocked him again today on Facebook. Too bad he doesn't have a life. I have a life, and that's what matters. Yeah, and see, that's just it. If somebody is spending their days making up fake accounts, that's all they're doing. It's like you are the star of their show. How weird is that, you know? And so that says to me that person is really, really disordered, because it's like the rest of us are out living our lives, doing our own thing. So yeah, these abusers who think, you know, who sit there behind their computer and are like, ha, 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 I've got all these fake accounts and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Well, the rest of us are out having ice cream and watching the new Avengers movie and having fun and, you know, debating, you know, comic books and things like that. It's like, oh my God, you know, so yeah, they're losers. They're losers. They are losers. And don't give them the power. You block them, you block them, you block them if you need to. File an order of protection. If you can prove who it is, file an order of protection. You know, if they keep harassing, file an order of protection. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Margaret, I'm not sure that's the current stats, though, because this was a pretty recent study that she pulled from, but we could check it. So, all right. And that was in regards to Sweden and Japan. All right, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to read through all of these questions. Thank you, James. How do you handle a situation where someone keeps claiming you weren't clear when you're pretty sure you were? How and when do you know for sure it wasn't really you? Trust your gut. Trust your gut. So what abusers will do, whether they are a bully at work or whether they are a romantic partner or whether they are a toxic parent, is they try to get us to second guess ourselves. That is their favorite form of attack. They love to say that we're wrong, you don't remember it right, it didn't happen that way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hold on just a second. I just noticed I'm running out of juice here. Hold on. Hold on. Where's my... Okay, I'm back. Hang on. Hold everything. Got to plug in here. Sorry. See, this is what happens when I run in from the airport. Oh, Gewalt. All right, hang on. Let me plug this in here. Much better. Okay. All right. Thank you for your patience. Okay. What was the question? I'm sorry. Okay. So they love to gaslight. They love to gaslight. That is their favorite thing to do. So they will try to convince you to second guess yourself, to not believe you, to sit there and go, did I really say that? Was that really, wait a minute, I'm not sure. So the biggest thing is I need you guys to work on your self-esteem, and I need you to work on your certainty. Be certain. If you know you said something, trust that. Trust your gut. Your gut will not steer you wrong. Your heart will steer you wrong. Your head will steer you wrong. Your gut will not steer you wrong. Trust your gut. If you know you've said something, then stick to your guns. And that's part of that people-pleasing thing, okay? We have that whole, I want to please, I want to please, I want to please. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. That whole thing. Stick to your guns. If you know you said something, then you said it. Be certain. Practice being certain. So when I do guided imagery with people, okay, when I'm working on the inner child work, what I'll often do is finish it off by having them, we've been in this beautiful place. I have them go someplace beautiful. Imagine this beautiful place. Good, you're in this beautiful place. The sun is shining. The birds are singing. It is gorgeous. It is floral. It is amazing. All right, I want you to see a big, huge gold bubble over your head. And into that gold bubble, I want you to pour all of the words that you want in your life into that gold bubble. health, happiness, joy, freedom from suffering, certainty, knowing, grounded. And then I have them bring that gold bubble into their bodies as we're imagining it, right? So it's a way to get your certainty back. It's a way to take your power back. It's guided imagery. And there's tons of guided imagery out there on the internet that you can do. But one of them is imagining the word certainty soaking into your body. Because our abusers take away our certainty. They tell us that we don't know what we know. And they make us try to second guess ourselves. So the most important thing is get your certainty back. That is really the most important thing. Okay. How to help my husband with the abuse he takes from his family, but he keeps going back for more. So, okay, when we've got a loved one who's got an abusive family, it's really hard because we want them to stop going back to the abuse because it's painful for us to see them being abused all the time. Dang this thing, hang on a second. It's being loosey-goosey here. Oh, okay, maybe I can get it to do that. Hang on. We want them to stop being abused and we want them to be okay, but it's really, it's hard because remember, it's the inner child is running things. So what you may want to do is you may want to get into some counseling, some family counseling with him and help him work on that inner child stuff. Why does he keep going back to an abusive family? And it's because we're looking for some sort of support that we didn't get. And it's usually the inner child that is running that, unfortunately. So it's really important to get with a really good therapist that understands, toxic families, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, start working on that inner child, getting that inner child loved and comforted by him. He needs to grow up his own inner child and understanding that he's never going to get what he's looking for from that toxic family. That's a little bit of reality therapy. So, and that's what's hard because the inner child is what drives us to go back to toxic families. It's what drives us to continue on with abusive relationships, either a work relationship or an abusive family relationship or an abusive romantic relationship. It's that inner child that got damaged that keeps looking for that fix, for that wound in other people or back with the original abusers. And it's never going to happen. And we have to accept. There's a thing called acceptance therapy as well. There's acceptance and reality therapy. And they're very cool because it's kind of like, look, it is what it is, guys. They're never going to change. We can't fix them because we didn't break them. It's not our job. Our job is to fix us and grow and continue on and not harm anybody and to heal ourselves. So all you can do is suggest therapy to him, ask him to work on himself, ask him to work on the inner child, ask him to work on self-esteem, and to figure out why he keeps going back to a well that's poisoned. A well that's been filled with salt. Why is he doing that? It's going to take some introspection, and some people are up to the task and others are not. So, just encourage him to work on himself because he doesn't deserve to be treated poorly by anybody. So, yeah. Okay. What do you mean golden child? Okay. So in family dynamics, in a very dysfunctional family, there is the golden child who can do no wrong. They're the favorite. So they're the, why can't you be more like your brother? Why can't you be more like your sister? That's the golden child. So they're the top, they're the cream of the crop. They can do no wrong. They're perfect. They're the favorite. They get more of everything, more of the love, more of the stuff, that type of thing. Then you have usually the second mom, second dad, and that can be the golden child. So they're raising the younger ones. Parents have abdicated, so the next oldest child or the oldest child takes over the raising of the kids. In truly dysfunctional families, you'll have the second husband, the second wife, so there's incest going on. Then you'll have ignored middle child. Middle child gets just completely neglected and ignored. Then you'll have the scapegoat, black sheep, can't do anything right, total opposite of the golden child. Is totally wrong, can't do anything right, is never good enough, is to blame for everything, etc. And then usually you'll have a comedian in the family, and that's usually the baby. So they're set roles, and they're not ever supposed to leave those roles. That's the problem. So in a healthy, normal family, there are not set roles. Everybody kind of flows in between and goes up and down, and there's really no golden child and there's no scapegoat because everybody is recognized as an individual who sometimes fucks up and is sometimes really good. So, but in a dysfunctional family, it's boxes that they get put into. And it's easier for the abusers to cope with or deal with the kids if they can label them and put them into neat little boxes that they never change out of. So yeah, that's that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, trying to catch up on the questions. Sorry. Okay, so replaying the good times. All right, this is what we do in both a bullying situation, in a workplace, and in a romantic relationship. We tend to go, oh, but it was good this time, and oh, things are okay, and oh gosh, da 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 da. And the truth of the matter is, it's not worth it. If you really sat down and you looked at the percentage of time that you're happy versus the percentage of time that you're miserable, the percentage of time that you're miserable is going to outweigh the happy. Definitely. So when you start walking down memory lane, especially in a romantic relationship, an abusive romantic relationship, you have to stop yourself. It's really important to write down every rotten thing that your abuser did to you. It's really important. Write down everything that your abuser did to you so that when you start doing these memory lane trips, and what you're doing is you're jacking up the endorphins and the dopamines. You are giving yourself your high by recalling the intermittent positive rewards. So you're doing it now to yourself. Isn't that crazy how they have trained us to do the intermittent positive rewards to ourselves? You have to stop it. You have to go right into, what did they do? What did they do to me? What did they say to me? What was the horrible thing they said? Who are they really? Because healthy, normal people don't make other people feel like shit. Period. Ever. Ever. Okay. So I can't accept the fact that the nice guy was actually evil. Yeah, and that's the hardest part, because they put on this wonderful mask and then the mask slips and we're like, wait, but where did that nice guy go? Well, that nice guy was an illusion. It was never real, because normal, healthy people don't behave like that. Yeah, and it does go back to the original childhood wound. Yeah, absolutely. So if we had parents that were addicts, they were alcoholics, drug addicts, abusive, neglectful. Yeah, that's the original wound. And that's where we got foobarred. And what we do is we look for people that remind us of that original caregiver. And we think in our little child head, in our little inner child head, that if we can make that person love us, then our original caregiver was wrong. And that's not the way it works. All it does is keep compounding the problem, compounding the problem, compounding the problem. So that's why you want to work on the original wound. You want to work on the inner child, and you got to get that wound fixed. And you also need to remind yourself, that person was not a good person. They pretended to be a good person. And we wanted to believe, we did, and that's not a fault of yours. I'm not going to victim blame, because it pisses me off when people start victim blaming. It's human nature to want people to behave well. It is, and when people don't, and they show you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't have to wait until the 20th. Believe them the first time. Seriously. And that's our mistake, is that we give people way too many chances. And it's that people pleaser thing, which is why it's important to work on The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker, because we got to break that people pleasing thing. Okay. Let's see. I work with a narcissist colleague. She drives many of her colleagues crazy, including me. And she's factually wrong. I try to avoid her, but she works on many of the same portfolios. I don't know how to stop her from driving me crazy. I'm waiting for her to cross a boundary so I can go to her boss, but she doesn't cross boundaries enough to be reported. So Beth, basically document. Find another supervisor to go to express your concerns to, because you're waiting. It's like, well, I'm waiting for her to cross this boundary. Oh, stop waiting. It's like, write it out. How exactly is she driving you crazy? How exactly is this happening? What's being said? Is she incompetent? Write it out. And then go to a different supervisor and talk it out with them. Okay. Don't wait. That's your big mistake. Stop waiting. Because they're never going to overtly cross that line. They're just going to keep, especially if they're doing microaggression, they're just going to keep walking right up to it. Okay. So yeah. talk it out with a different supervisor. Start documenting. When did this first start happening? How long ago has this been going on? And then your boss is going to ask you, why didn't you come to me sooner? That's usually why it's harder for targets of abuse to get traction in a workplace, because they wait so long. And then the boss is going to go, why are you coming to me now? Why didn't you come to me 2 years ago? You know? Let's see. Yeah, narcs and bullies are expensive in the work environment, and it's crazy that they're allowed to stay. It really is. But again, it's the corporate relationship. It's the corporate culture. Okay. All right. Jenny, I don't know about the research. It should be easy to find. If you go look up these researchers, they should have either their PowerPoint that they did, and you could ask them. You could be like, hey, I've heard about you. I've heard about your research. I'm curious. Do you have a PowerPoint? Do you have something I can see? You should be able to ask them for that. So, because most people keep their PowerPoints. So like I don't use PowerPoints when I do a lecture, because I'm more, just verbal and stuff. Plus the fact I hate PowerPoints, because then you're like futzing with the thing that you got to click and everything. But if you have to do PowerPoints, you generally keep your PowerPoints so that you can share them with other people or print them up and give them to people so that they can see where your research is, etc. So you should be able to look up these people and find them. So is it bad to restrict friends who have in common with your ex-abusive coworkers, like to restrict them on Facebook so the ex-coworkers can't access your Facebook through them? Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. You're protecting yourself. Absolutely. You want to protect yourself 110%. So do what you have to. It's absolutely okay. I worked with a small company run by two brothers. The older one would choose an employee to be the golden child and then later turn them into the scapegoat and then choose someone else. Ooh, usually newer employees. Yeah, that's a huge red flag. Leave. Absolutely. All right. Bully bosses enjoy criticizing and jumping on errors of their targets at any chance. Yes, they do that, absolutely. But then they ignore their own errors. All right, let's see. All right, hang on. Catching up on questions here. Okay, hold on. Okay, how to fake it until we make it with a toxic boss. Gray rock, cover bases, observe, don't absorb, and get out. If it's the boss that's toxic, get out. Get out. Life is too short. I cannot emphasize that enough. Like I said, do a side gig, drive for Lyft, do what you need to get an income, and then keep looking for another job. Drive for Lyft on the weekends, do the crappy job on the weekdays, save up enough money, put in your 2 weeks notice, demand the letter of recommendation, and demand a severance. Absolutely, if you can. It really helped when I realized I was addicted to the rare good times and compliments. Now I'm much more self-aware of my own behavior to not fall in that trap. Very empowering. Yeah, and that's just it. When we become aware of our own codependency and the fact that we are people pleasers, and that's what we live for, are the compliments and the good times and things like that. You can manage yourself. You can recognize a dysfunctional relationship or a dysfunctional situation when you see one and exit so that you're not getting damaged all the time. And that's why it's important to really be self-aware. That's why it's important to be working on yourself, to be doing the self-esteem, to be working the self-esteem workbook, to be doing the disease to please, to be doing the mirror work so that you become aware of when you are being a people pleaser so you can stop it. And then you can say, nope, you know what? I don't need this. I don't deserve this. I'm going to walk away. So there it is. Okay. Yes.